Another guy that I just feel like we don't really talk about a lot is Davion Mitchell, who is still he's obviously an important part of this team, and you see that defensively. We I did allude to him earlier in that at the end of third quarters and at the beginning of fourth quarters, he's setting the tone defensively. Whenever the team is ending up getting stops in the end, you can kind of trace it back to what Davion Mitchell does in terms of pressuring the ball handler. And Mike Brown has noted that a lot. He pointed that out. He said the game changed because of Davion in reference to the Spurs game last Thursday. So there's no doubt about that. Defensively, he's been great, undeniable. When he's out there, there's always stretches where he's just putting together like 2, 3, 4 great defensive plays in the span of a few minutes. Um, he's terrific. You could just watch. It's always fun just to watch him. Just keep an eye on him on the defensive end. Nothing else. Don't watch the ball. Watch Davion Mitchell. But offensively, especially in terms of his 3-point shot, which is kind of an important aspect, I think, in this offense, just because as good as he is at getting on the inside, and he's very good, you have a lot of guys that can do that. And it seems like Monk is the one that gets deep in the paint more than anyone and sets up for more shots on the outside for his teammates than anybody else in the second unit. So I think it kind of raises the importance of Davion Mitchell's 3-point shot. And it's been kind of very inconsistent, and it hasn't necessarily actually been good overall. He was really good in preseason, so it looked like things were kind of coming along. And he put in a lot of work in the off season, putting up like 500, 600 shots a day or whatever the story was. And, he's shooting 33.3% on the year, which is honestly that's kind of actually more than I thought he was. He shot about 31% last season. But in his last 9 games, which are the 9 games since the Charlotte game when he went 5 of 6 in relief, basically, of De'Aaron Fox when he bruised his knee. So in his last 9, he's shooting 29% from 3. Overall in the season, again, from above the break, which is not shooting from the corners from 3, he's shooting 38.2. But in the last 9, 33.3. On catch and shoot threes on the year as a whole, 37%, but in these last 9, 25%. And then like one bump in the last 9 games where he's shooting 26.7% on pull-ups on the year. He's shooting 37.5% in the last 9 on pull-up attempts. And I guess my point there is just real up and down, no real clear picture as to how that 3-point shot's coming along. It just seems real choppy right now. And, he's defensively, he's a difference maker, and he's a part of the rotation, and he's a big part of the team, no doubt. But if you could start knocking that 3-point shot down, I think he hit one early in that Detroit game, and it was just, he sunk it. I think he stepped back. It was beautiful. And it's like, okay, he's getting it going. But I think he missed the other 2 in that game. So, I don't know. I think that's something worth pointing out.
It is. Mitchell is just an inconsistent shooter. Mitchell reminds me of someone who shoots like he doesn't really have any feel. I think he just is very mechanical and just kind of hoping it goes in. He's like, all right, if I do that, but from this side, where Steph he has a shot, he can affect the way his shot goes in. Mitchell isn't like that. He's gonna, I guess, keep the ball 30 feet up in the air with that arc he's added on this off season. And I don't know. I guess just hope it goes in. I don't know. Does that make sense? He just seems very mechanical. I think he needs to get a little more feel. I don't know. He's kind of like last year, just inconsistent this year from 3. You were hoping he could really bump that 3-point percentage up, especially the way he was saying he was working on his 3-pointers in the offseason. His offense has kind of just, he's obviously in there for his defense. Still a really good defender, but his offense needs to step up. He's kind of almost non-existent on that end at times. And, that's Davion Mitchell, inconsistent.
Well, the first thing, you were saying that, maybe he's a little too mechanical. Well, I guess the stats in the last 9 kind of back it up in that all of them are down. particularly looking at the difference between catch and shoot pull-ups. It's down in catch and shoot percentage, and the last night he's shooting 25% on that. But in pull-up attempts, which is a far more fluid shot, he's shooting 37.5 in the last 9. So that kind of backs up what you're saying there.
Yeah,
And I
that's
think
true.
some of the offensive like spottiness, I think it does have a lot to do with the fact that like Malik, like we were talking about it 2 weeks ago, like Malik Monk's, he's like a point guard. he's just whatever he learned over the last year and over the off season and gaining chemistry with these guys. It's just he's setting up for other guys all the time, and he's attacking the paint constantly. He's aggressive, and he's just he almost does a better job of mimicking Fox than the backup point guard does. So it's kind of interesting, you know.
That
So
no,
it's not necessarily that Fox. I mean, like Davion Mitchell. I mean, he's still like he's hitting his shots inside. He's converting shots near the rim, but it's just like he's only getting like 2 attempts, you know. And I feel like that's maybe he just kind of like in terms of knowing your role and the distribution of shots and whatnot, and who's going to handle the ball in offense, especially if this team is getting a stop from Davion Mitchell's defense or whatnot. Who's leading the charge in the second unit? Again, it's Monk, you know, usually. I don't know. Maybe those are oversimplifications, but it seems
no,
a major part of it.
no. I think you bring up a great point. You did bring in Monk, who is acting like a point guard. He's more of the, like you said, backup point guard to Fox than Mitchell is. Mitchell is going to do one thing really well, and that's play defense. And that's what he's been doing. And Brown, commends him on it. He's like, we're not winning this game without Mitchell's defense. I think he said that. Was it against the Spurs or maybe even against the Pistons? Do
Yeah.
you remember? Yeah, I think
he said the game changed against the Spurs because of Davion's defense.
Yeah. And so bringing in Monk, let him run the offense, let him score all the buckets. Like, you don't need that out of Mitchell. Just let Mitchell focus on defense. Yeah, it'll be nice. I think Mitchell, he just needs to be a 3-and-D guy. And it's a bummer that he's not hitting his threes well. Hopefully that turns around. But, I mean, like you said, knowing your role, his role, and what Brown wants him to do is play good defense. That's why the dude got drafted. You're kind of hoping his offense picked up, but you have a defender with Davion Mitchell's skill set, like, that's great. And that's what he's doing. Especially with Monk, it just makes his offensive inexistence, I guess, a little less more manageable. And maybe, like you said, he's only getting like 2 shots a game. Could be planned. It's like, all right, Mitchell, like, play good D. If a shot comes to you, take it. And he's enough of a threat on the 3-point line where it's like, okay, like, he can hit them. So maybe it's just all in the game plan, and we're just maybe even making something out of nothing. I mean, he is inconsistent on the 3-point line, and if you want to be a good player in this league, he's going to have to start hitting those. But at the end of the day, you just can't overlook his defense and his role on this team, which is being a good defender.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just like to elaborate on that. I think he was asked a few nights ago, or at least in one of these games in the last week, like about his role, which has kind of been a constant thing because a lot of roles have emerged and have become pretty clear. And sometimes with Davion, maybe not necessarily defensively. I think the defensive aspect is always part of the role, but it's not necessarily the most clear overall. So he'll get asked about it, and he's mentioned the defense, obviously, but same magnitude of importance is the energy, and maybe that comes mostly from the defensive end. But so I think that has to do. I guess what I'm saying is definitely has to do with what his role is, and he's doing what his role is. And I think once 3-point shots start to fall, then maybe he'll be a little more aggressive about it. Maybe he just doesn't feel like he can be aggressive. That could be a part of it, which maybe you don't want to see. You don't want to limit him, and especially Mike Brown doesn't want to limit him. Look at the way he talks about Trey Lyles. He wants all his guys to let it fly. If they got an open shot, if they got a good shot, hit it. And I don't know, maybe there were a few times against Detroit, might have been a few other guys, but there were a few. Davion Mitchell, I think Metu, I think they kind of hesitated on a few threes. And again, maybe you don't want them taking those shots, but it's like some of them are decent, and it's like, as a shooter, you just got to keep shooting, That's what
Shoot,
any
you
shooter
gotta
would tell you.
shoot.
You got to do it. I mean, Kevin Herter said that after the Pistons game. He's just like, that's just part of it. You just got to, that's what you got to do. Because he started off like 1 of 6.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just shooters, they come back around, I think is what he said. Those are the words he used. So you got to get into that mentality. And if you add that element to the defensive stuff that Davion Mitchell's already doing, well, then he's that bench unit, which is so great this year, that bench unit is even better. So, and that can make a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
Because look at the Detroit game. Like the starters had to win that game. I mean, Davion, like I said, arguably was the best player off the bench, but only for his defense. It would have been really great to see Davion really step it up offensively. And I think he only had like 5 points. So, I don't know. Those are the opportunities where he could be doing that. And that's probably the missing link for him, I guess. Just that offensive consistency and feeling like he can have command and have that aggressive feel, which I think he does well because you see him kind of unleash himself when he gets the opportunities. But
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, he never really had a 3-point shot coming into the league. Still a young guy, and he just has that great work effort. Or work ethic. So hopefully he can just keep working on it and it starts falling. The kid has like I said, the work ethic in him, and he's a workhorse. He's going to do what he's got to do to get better. So hopefully he can overcome these inconsistencies on offense sooner than later. And I don't know, maybe it'll be another year. It's only his second year. Sophomore slump is a thing. So we'll see. We'll see how resilient he is, but I trust him to make strides, going forward.
yeah, he's gotta figure out whatever he was doing in his last year at Baylor.
Yeah, I know. He's like 42 from 3, I think.
Something like that. It's like let me see here. 44.7% on 4.7 attempts per game. So Davion.
Come on, Davion.
Yeah, you got it in you.
He's got it in him. He's got it in him.